This is my blog 11, Teaching in the Real World, and basically as a student intern I had a chance to develop new insight on different roles that teacher play, not only as teachers but I guess as mentors, friends, sometimes parents. So that was a cool experience. That was a big thing that my teacher really explained to me, is that to be able to relate to your students and to be able to engage with students, you just can't fill that teacher role. Each student is going to be extremely different. They're going to learn differently. They're going to want school to be different. So you got to fill the roles necessary for those diverse students. You say, what kind of hats are you expected to wear? I mean, you're expected to obviously wear many different hats when you're a teacher. As I said before, maybe you got to be a nurturing parent role for certain students. Maybe you have to be that strict disciplinarian for certain students. Maybe you have to be that friend for certain students. It's being a teacher, as I found out, you got to be different to fit the needs of different students. And I know I keep repeating that, but that's the thing that I learned the most, and that's what my teacher really strived for me to understand. I taught young high school kids, so it was interesting to see how they reacted to me. I was roughly 8 years older than them, so I could have been an older brother to them. So it was interesting to see how I interact. To get my lesson across, to how to relate to them. So I thought that was a unique experience. And basically, they're my same generation. Even though they're 8 years younger, they are my generation, I feel like. So I could relate cultural things to them, and sports, movies, video games. So that's what I was doing to relate my lessons just from the age. I imagine when I'm older, I'll play more of I guess, a father figure, if that makes sense. Because when I'm 30, 35, I won't be like a big brother anymore. At least I hope not. I hope I'll be like a father figure to them, and then I can relate to them differently and be like more of a parent fill-in. Because right now I felt more like a brother, which wasn't bad because I still could hopefully guide them in a way I wanted them to. But when I'm older, I could fill a different role. I kind of understood that teachers fill different roles because my mom is a teacher, my uncle is a teacher, my future aunt is a teacher. So they gave me stories and insights and advice, and especially for my mom, because the cool thing about my mom was she just started a new program at the high school she teaches at, and it's a PE class geared to girls, so it's an all-girls PE class, and the goal is, to lose weight and get fit. And what my mom does is, yes, there is fitness activities and, workouts, but also she has activities for students to get stuff off their chest. Because most people that struggle with their weight have other issues. So what my mom does is she finds out problems that they have, maybe boy problems, maybe home problems, maybe school problems, and she helps them conquer or solve those problems and fills that void. Maybe it's as a mom, maybe it's as a sister, maybe it's as a friend. So my mom made me understand that teachers do have different voids and different roles that they have to play with for students. So I knew that before my 8 experience, that I had to be different, or at least fill different roles. The main idea that I'm going to take into student teaching next semester from my intern experience is just different ways to engage your students. I figured out that my main teaching style is I really like discussion based. I like putting up a PowerPoint and asking, what does this mean? And try to get students to answer it on their own. I am going to teach younger kids next semester, so it's going to be interesting to see how that works. The advice that I got from my teacher about younger kids, you always got to keep them going. There can't be a lot of downtime or lecture time. He told me if you have a 20-minute lecture, that's fine, but you have to break it up. You can't just lecture for 20 minutes because those kids don't have the attention span and they get bored really quickly. So I'm really interested to see if I can instill a lecture-based, not a lecture-based, but a discussion-based class in the grade that I'll be teaching. So I'm really excited about that. Basically, I really enjoyed working with my co-op teacher this semester. He taught me many ways to engage my students. and how simple things can engage your students. He was a lecture-based teacher. I would say he's old school. He doesn't use that much technology. Obviously, he uses PowerPoints. He does use a lot of videos, though, which is really interesting, and that's how kids really grasp like certain terms that we were talking about. So I'm definitely going to use his lecture-style classes and using a lot of videos and a lot of multimedia ways to engage students. But he didn't use a smartboard a lot. We didn't do a lot of Web 2.0 lessons, which was fine by me. I mean, it was interesting to see how he taught. And I took a lot of positive things away. I mean, honestly, I don't think I took anything away that I would be like, oh, I'm not going to do it like that. I took a lot of more positive than out of positive stuff instead of negative stuff from my experience with my teacher. And I want to thank him because he did a great job with me, and he allowed me to teach. He allowed me to get instructional hours, and he gave me great feedback, which is the key, because of course teaching is great, but if you don't get good feedback, then it's not helping out at all. What do I need? What do you think I still will need to become successful in my internship? I think I did a great job in my internship, to be honest with you. I showed up ready to go every single day. Some of the content I wasn't really that familiar with, so I had to do stuff on my own. I taught geography, and I know geography. I mean, I know states, I know countries, I know different cultures, but to go in depth, I had to research on my own. So that was interesting. It made me realize that for next year, hopefully when I get a job, realistically, I'm not going to get a subject that I really want to teach. So if I'm teaching, for example, world history, during that summer, or as soon as I find out what subject I'll be teaching, I gotta start doing outside reading and outside research so I can tell stories and get people engaged in the subject. So that's something that I learned. I think I related to the students well. I had them really try to talk. I tried to explain to them current events and try to relate it back to the topic. So I think I did a great job interning. And basically, to become a good intern or be a good intern, it's pretty simple. As long as you show up on time, you leave when your teacher wants you to leave, and you're engaged throughout the school day, you're doing a good job. You don't have to do anything magical or anything special, to be completely honest with you. You just gotta be there ready to learn, ready to relate to the students, ready to take in new ideas, and just be there. If you're there and you're not messing up, then you're doing a good job being an intern. This experience was awesome. It wasn't too hard. I didn't really enjoy the drive to Roanoke every day, but I got used to it. I mean, I was at a great school with a great community and a great co-op teacher, so I could deal with the 45-minute drive there and back. Plus, Nova traffic is different than Roanoke traffic, so there really was no traffic. So I really enjoyed it. The whole experience I really like. And basically, how am I going to make all this happen when I start teaching, like the stuff that I learned from my teacher and the stuff that I learned how to relate to students, is basically, as I said, I hopefully can get a discussion-based class for the next grade I'm teaching. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say what grade I'm teaching due to privacy issues, but I'll be teaching younger kids. So if I can find a way to do that, making a class discussion based and having these little kids talk to each other, talk to me, kind of find out why things are going on in a classroom environment, then I know I can do it at any level, which would be really important to me. I think I can relate to students at any level, regardless of how old they are, what gender they are, because I feel like I have a good personality and I can talk to anyone and I can relate to anyone. So that's not an issue, I feel like. My biggest issue I think that I'm going to have to deal with is, at least with my first job, is class management or behavior management. I got that class going on right now and I really enjoy it. And Dr. Williams is my teacher and he does a great job explaining techniques. But the big thing I learned in that class is kind of up to you. When I was doing my internship, my class did get a little rowdy sometimes, but I found out that that was kind of my fault. I really like discussion-based classes, so I was having discussions with my class, and then this one kid would veer the discussion off, and then for maybe a minute it was a little chaos. So then I had to control the class back to where I wanted the the lecture or where the discussion to go. So basically that's my biggest thing I have to work on, at least what I figured out, is my classroom management. But I think that's everyone's issue. You just got to find out what your personality is, how you want your class to act, and you know, how you want your kids to react to certain things. Some people want it to be boom, 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 boom structured. Other people want to be, oh, you know, nice and airy, nice and free, nice and hippie-like. So I want something in the middle of that, you know, but I'll see what happens. Now we had to, you know, read a couple books, and what the interesting thing is, the first book I want to talk about is Wong's The First Day of School. My uncle, who teaches middle school biology, told me I should read this book. And when I found that this book was on syllabus, I was extremely excited because, you know, now I definitely have to read the book. And basically that book was just saying how the first day will really set the tone for everything. If you have a great first day in terms of what you expect from your class, the expectations that the students will have in your class, how you're going to organize your class, how you structure your class, what your rules are, what the consequences are, if your first day goes as planned, and that will really set the tone for the rest of the year. We saw a study in one of my classes, it was actually behavior management class. The more you go over the rules and the structure and what you expect your kids to do, the less a chance that kids will go crazy in your class. Which I guess could be obvious, but overall, I think teachers forget that sometimes. Basically, also in Wong, he helps you understand how to set up easy things, and maybe what older teachers think are easy, but new teachers like, whoa, what should I do? Like your grade book and how you manage your class management system. And he really highlights the importance of routine. My mom was telling me a story when she was teaching in Houston, how this one teacher had this routine, and he was not a good teacher at all. This is old school, this is probably back in the 80s, how his class, when it started, he would sit down at his desk for the whole time. But the class knew what they had to do. The class knew that they had to take attendance. The teacher didn't take attendance, but there was a designated person in their class to take attendance. So that person would take attendance, put it outside the door where it would be collected. All the students would get the worksheets. They would work at their desks to complete the worksheets. And when the bell rang, they turned the worksheets in. Now my mom was telling me one night this guy went partying and he didn't show up to work. And he missed the first 3 periods of the day. But no one realized that he wasn't there. Do you know why no one realized that they were there? Was because he had such a routine pressed in these students' minds that even though he wasn't there, the students still took attendance, still sat in their seats, and still did their work and turned it in. So I'm not saying that bad teachers have good routines, but it just shows that if you have a good routine and if you stressed it in their minds enough as the students, you know, you can have them be, that sounds terrible, but kind of like dogs. You know, if you have that routine set enough, they will follow it and they will not cause problems. So Wong really stressed the importance of routines and procedures. You know, I'm definitely going to read this book over the summertime once again, just to get refresh it, because as I said, and as this book really points out, your first day will make or break you as a teacher, and a lot of first year teachers do not realize that. The next book that I read was Total Participation Techniques, and this was by the Humili, I guess spouses, I don't really know, but it's really stand and deliver approaches on how to teach students and why students really kind of tune out. Basically, it's just because students really don't get interested in school anymore. They don't value certain subjects. They don't, because it gets kind of in their head so much. Throughout school, how many times are you going to take history? You know, in my paper that I wrote, you find out that history is one of the most taken subjects, but least appreciated subjects. So I think students overall just get worn down with school, and when they get towards the end of school, which we might be dealing with if you teach in high school, you know, they just get tired of it, especially if they're not going to go to college. So somehow you got to relate to these students, and this book shows different techniques and different ways to make students interested in your subject again. There's a lot of different ways they show. Basically, you can't underestimate the importance of planning for students' engagement. So you got to plan for students to be engaged. It's just not magically going to happen. So that's one of the big things that I really understood from this book, or I'm going to take, is, if you want student participation to happen, which I'm really going to need if I want my class to be discussion based, that's going to be really, really, really important. It wasn't in the book, but I stopped by one of my old teachers today. Actually, it wasn't today because today's Thanksgiving, so that's a lie. But happy Thanksgiving. I stopped by Wednesday, so it was yesterday I stopped by, and I just wanted to say hi to him, and he wanted me to stay, and he showed me a way to get your class participating. He teaches AP US History, so it is AP kids, but it was like a taboo game. So basically what the kids had to do was they made flashcards. They had the keyword, so let's say it's Harriet Tubman. Okay, so you had Harriet Tubman on one side, and on the back you had keywords that they couldn't say. So he had 3 to 4 keywords. So basically, maybe it's African American, slave, Underground Railroad. So you had to find different ways to explain to your class or your groups what this keyword was. So, I mean, if you think of Harriet Tubman, anyone can say, oh, Harriet Tubman, she was African American, slave, Underground Railroad. But he had these students explain that key term in different ways. And now the cool thing was that sometimes the speaker, or I guess the guy that's saying the word or saying the guesses to the group, he would mess up. But his group knew what the word was and would correct them. So that shows different ways to engage your students and how to make them critically think and how to make them engaged. So I thought it was a really cool way. Now that wasn't in the book, but it does show how you can get your students to participate and stand up and deliver, as that book says. And basically, you got to find different ways for your students to get engaged. And I think big thing is games, cultural references. I know Joe's teacher, to get his students engaged, he has football trivia or football extra credit. I forget exactly what it is, but he knows kids like sports. So that's what he does. You got to find ways to get your students to participate, and that's the overall goal of being a teacher, I feel like. Again, to sum this all up, my teaching experience was amazing this semester. My teacher was great. He really taught me many ways of how to be a good teacher and how to just get along with your students and how to have fun as well too. Because if you don't have fun being a teacher, then why are you doing it? My school that I was at was amazing. The community was awesome. I met some other great teachers there that really helped me out. I'm just really thankful for this experience. And I'm lucky that I had it, and I'm looking forward to next semester. So thank you, and have a great Thanksgiving.